Hey everyone, welcome to Wise Guy Gazette. Today I'm going to be reviewing the last 3 watches I picked up and just doing a short overview of these. Quick wrist check. I'm wearing the Milsub San Martin SN004. Let me grab focus. This is a nice no-date Milsub for small wrists. But now that I have 2 divers with date at 6, I think you'll be getting a little bit less wrist time. I picked up these 3 watches in the last couple months, and I picked up this one first and the Phoibos Delphinius most recently. So I have these in order of when I picked them up. Starting with the first one, I picked up the Specht and Sohne Navigator Timer. This one was one of the cheaper ones I picked up. It's in the $100, under $100 range, and I think it's actually a pretty good piece for the price. What's most unique about it is that it's the only turtle case diver for small wrists that's available on AliExpress. It has 39 by 45 millimeter dimensions, so the lug to lug is pretty compact. It fits really nicely on my smaller wrist, and overall the quality is okay. It's about Pagani level design quality. The watch head itself is quite nicely machined, good finishing across, polished case sides, which is not my favorite, but they look pretty nice. The biggest issue with this watch is the bracelet quality. The links themselves are solid links. They feel pretty good, but the machining between the end link and the first link of the bracelet is a little bit kind of sticky. So you get it where it kind of gets stuck down like this instead of smoothly kind of draping or, articulating across that end link. So I do have kind of sticky end links on this one. They do wear in after a while, and you could lubricate or maybe file down those edges, but overall the bracelet's just kind of clunky, not the best bracelet. And also, most people hate butterfly clasps. I don't mind this one. I got a pretty good fit, but keep in mind this is a butterfly clasp, so you don't have micro adjustment. It may be considered uncomfortable for a lot of people. So overall, the bracelet might be something you want to switch out for a strap. I do like bracelets, so I kept it on the bracelet, but overall, I would say this is an okay piece. Pagani level design quality. Mostly the draw is that it's very unique in that there's not many turtle case divers that fit small wrists, especially on AliExpress. You have the 9 Dow turtle that came out recently, but that only comes in the dragon scale dial as well as some other textured dials that I'm not a huge fan of. If they released that one in just a plain black dial, I think that would be the new watch to get if you're looking for a turtle style for small wrists. But for now, this is the only option in plain colors. So I still think the Navigator Timer from Specht and Sohne is worth picking up. Okay, moving on to the Erebus Origin 38. This one, as you guys may know, is a microbrand created by Jody, the YouTuber from Just One More Watch. This is the second watch in his lineup, so he released a 41 millimeter version of this watch first, and that was a little bit too big for me. As you know, I have small wrists, so I did hold out, but as soon as he released this 38 millimeter version with a 45 millimeter lug to lug, I knew that I had to pick it up. I really like the design, the overall matte finishing across the watch, the Pelagos style design. I think it takes good inspiration from that watch while being its own design. I think it's almost a little bit more of a tool watch with fully brushed sides, fully brushed bevels, and a little bit more of the chunky, blocky indices than the Pelagos. So I actually really like this design. For me, this was a really nice piece because I like dailying a black dive watch, and I do love to have the date on my daily watch. So this one with the date at 6, nicely kind of tucked away, this was kind of a perfect daily dive watch for me, and maybe along more of the tool watch vibes. And as you'll see with the Phoibos Delphinius, they're kind of similar in the sense that they're both black dive watches with date at 6, similar dimensions. They have, pretty basic hands and indices, circular or square, pencil hands. So in general, they're kind of similar, but the reason I have both is because I see the Erebus as more of a tool watch and the Phoibos as more of a dressy diver. So the Erebus 38, really good watch. I would say my biggest gripe with it is that the thickness is a little bit much. Especially for a smaller diameter watch like this, the thickness becomes even more evident. So if they could shave down 1 millimeter off of this, I think that would have been a huge improvement, honestly. The mid case is pretty thick. It sits kind of high on the wrist. So overall, I think that with this watch, 1 millimeter thinner would have been a huge upgrade. But other than that, I really like it. The H-Link bracelet is really well finished. The finishing overall is really good. I know there's rumors that these are made by San Martin, but I would say that the little touches that go into the Erebus make it clearly one step above like a San Martin tier of watch. You get more unique elements. Of course, the design is more unique. And more importantly, I think just that little bit of extra build quality and finishing is there. So I do think that this is worth it, especially at a sale price of, let's say you get it for $250 to $300. That's easily worth it to me over a $200 or $220 San Martin, if you're looking for just that next level of design, finishing, and of course, customer service as well. So this is a really good piece. Very happy to have it. And I do kind of alternate this one back and forth with the Phoibos I'm about to show you as my new daily divers. So moving into the Phoibos, this one is again a black diver with date at 6, relatively small dimensions. This one is a little bit larger than I would normally go, but I figured that due to the thinness and the profile of the case sides, this may fit my wrist a little bit better than most watches of this size. And I think that was correct. So I normally cap out at around 46 millimeter lug to lug, and dimensions, diameter I mean, would be something around 39 to 40 millimeters. This one is a 39.5 or 40 basically by 46.5 lug to lug. So it's half a millimeter longer than I would normally go. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have it hanging off the edges of your wrist, that's just a little bit too much. So for my smaller wrist, 46 normally seems about correct. But this one at 46.5 actually fits really well on my wrist because of the really steep turn down to the lugs, as well as how thin this thing is. So overall, I would say this wears like a true 39 or 38 pretty nicely on a small wrist. It conforms and hugs the wrist really well, better than the Erebus or any of my other dive watches. And so this thing wears pretty small regardless. So I'm glad I took that risk. But other than that, you can see that beautiful textured dial. That's one of the standout features of this watch. It has this beautiful sunburst that's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's the typical Phoibos sunburst where it's almost, instead of straight sunburst lines, they have a little bit of a zigzag to them. So it gives a really nice effect in the light. But overall, when you're just looking at it from afar, I like that it looks like just a plain black diver. So it's a really good daily watch, has that date at 6. It's also Miyota 9 series movement inside here. So it's running a high beat movement. It's more accurate than most of my NH35 watches like the Erebus or the Specht and Sohne. And so this has kind of become the top watch in my collection. It's my go-to. I wear it more than anything else. And I would definitely consider it the nicest watch in my collection. If you get a little bit of look at the finishing and just the way that the side of the profile is sculpted, it's just a really beautiful watch, completely original design. I've heard people say it takes some inspiration from like a Yama Superman or something like that, but I think it is essentially its own design. I like to think of it as, you know, Phoibos's take on a Submariner or just a simple dive watch with crown guards. They tend to make more out there designs that have, whether they're angular or have different colors, they tend to make something a little bit more out there. Whereas Phoibos, I think, tried to keep it a little bit more tame with this one. And I think what they came out with is really nice. I kind of hope they go down this path a little bit more and explore some of the more, you know, pedestrian designs, because they do a really good job. And again, you know, this costs a little bit more than your typical San Martin. This one actually retails for $450, so significantly more. But I would say at that price, you're getting significantly better finishing. You're getting an original design. You're getting a better movement. And all those things together, I would say the package is worth it at that price. However, I did get this watch on sale. I picked it up for about $355, $370 after tax from Long Island Watch. I don't think they're running this sale anymore. So I would keep an eye out on the used market. Look for sales. If you can pick this up under $400, it's an absolute steal. It's a really good microbrand watch. It has a level of refinement that you don't find in a typical AliExpress watch. So I really do value that. I find this to be just an extremely nice overall package. The dimensions, the way it looks, the finishing are all superb. And I didn't touch on the bracelet yet. Bracelet is extremely nice quality. It's a beads of rice with perfect articulation. The end link fitment is quite good, except you do have small gaps on either side of the end link. You can kind of move it side to side. So not perfect finishing on the end links, but overall, the bracelet is super nice. It does have on-the-fly adjustment. It's slightly different than the San Martin or Erebus system. So instead of pushing a button, you pull down a little lever. But other than that, it basically functions the same. You can push it in without pressing anything, and then to pull it out, you have to operate that lever, right? Whereas something like the Erebus is more like a San Martin, where you have, it's the same exact setup, but you have a little button that you push down instead of a lever that you pull towards you. So slightly different mechanism. I would say I actually prefer the mechanism on the Phoibos. The San Martin type mechanism, the button tends to be kind of stiff. And so you have to really press in there with your thumb, and you know, it loosens up over time, but it's just kind of a pain. Whereas this one is super easy. You just kind of grab that lever, pull it, and then you can adjust the bracelet. So on the fly adjustment on both of these two, the Erebus and the Phoibos. Like I said, these are both very similar black dive watches, date at 6, but with those subtle differences in styling, I really do see the Phoibos as more of a dressy watch and the Erebus as more of a tool watch. And overall, I would say the Phoibos is a nicer watch. It does cost more, but you get that high beat movement. It's significantly thinner. It has a nicer finished case. The case design is a little bit more inspired, I'd say. And overall, it's just a nicer package, right? It costs $100 extra bucks. It's worth it to me. But the Erebus is also a really nice step up from your typical San Martin. But overall, I would recommend all three of these watches for what they offer. The Navigator Timer offers a small turtle style case for a good price with decent finishing, comes with a bracelet. And so I think that's a pretty unique piece and worth taking a look at, either in the GMT form or the three-hander like I have. I have the GMT as well, but the three-hander I think looks a little bit nicer. And also they don't make the GMT in a black dial, so that was a little bit disappointing to me. So I have the gray GMT as well. But overall, it's worth looking at if you want a turtle style watch that fits small wrists and you're looking in that sub $100 price range. The Erebus is a great watch because it gives you that Tudor Pelagos styling with a date window in a smaller dimension package. So if you go to the Sea Stern or Octopus Kraken Pelagos, you get a nice small package, but with no date, and they're titanium. So if you want steel, that kind of puts you out of the market for those. San Martin makes a Pelagos that comes in steel and has a date window, but it's the largest of the bunch at 47 millimeters lug to lug and just a little bit too big for my wrist. I've actually owned it for a little bit and returned it. So I know for a fact that that one doesn't fit my wrist well. So what's left is the Erebus Origin 38 is basically the only Pelagos style watch that fits small wrists and has that date window. And so I totally see value in this piece. And even without those specific merits, I find it to be a really good quality watch for the $300 or so that you can get it for. And even though the thickness is a little bit of an issue, I still find it to be a really good wearing watch. And I do like that piece a lot. The Phoibos is my favorite watch in my entire collection. It's been a huge hit. I picked it up at Christmas and it's never left my wrist. Except for this video actually. So I had to take it off to take this video. Normally I'd be wearing it, so I put on the mil sub, but normally I just wear this one every single day. I'm getting a lot less wrist time with my other watches, but that's okay with me because I really love this piece. I'm sure I'll change it up in the future, but overall the Phoibos is a watch I'd absolutely recommend, even at the full retail price. But if you can get any sort of deal and get it, you know, under $400, this is really one of the best microbrand divers that you can get. All right, everyone, that's it for today. I'll be releasing full reviews of most of these watches, at least the Erebus and the Phoibos, or maybe even a head-to-head between those two. So keep an eye out for those videos, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.